My brethren, do not hold the faith of our sovereign Yahushua HaMashiach, the sovereign of honor, with partiality. For if there should come into your assembly a man with gold rings in fine apparel, and there should also come in a poor man in filthy clothes, and you pay attention to the one wearing the fine clothes and say to him, you sit here in a good place, and say to the poor man, you stand there, or sit here at my footstool, have you not shown partiality among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? This is something which seems pretty simple, and I think it's simple to understand, yet for some reason it continues to happen everywhere, and pretty much is talking about assemblies or churches as they would call them nowadays. It is clear that since in Christianity, and even, well, in the rest of the world of course, but since we're talking about believers, they judge by appearances, although they claim that they shouldn't judge, misinterpreting scriptures. At the same time, they judge by appearances, because if they see a church that is full of people, doesn't matter what they are preaching, they immediately think that it is a good doctrine or a good church. If the pastor has a lot of money and is in a nice car, and the church has a lot of luxury, then they believe this is a church that is blessed by the Almighty, so therefore they should be a good church. So through appearances, they judge the religion, even the doctrine, which makes really no sense. And Yahushua HaMashiach told us not to judge by appearances, but with righteous judgment. So we must judge, not to condemn, but to make the right choices, as in judge the teaching, not the look. And in this case, we see talking about how a pastor could, because he sees somebody that has money, treat him very well and treat him like he's special and put him in the front and everything, just because he has money and he may contribute to the congregation. While if he sees somebody who doesn't have nice clothes, he would put him far away so that nobody may see him and think something bad about the congregation. This also shows that the Almighty is not looking at somebody's clothing. And what I mean is that a lot of people still, even when they read this and they claim to understand it, they still think that how they dress will make a difference in how the Almighty sees them, when the Almighty made them. So, I repeat, my brethren, do not hold the faith of our sovereign Yahushua HaMashiach, the sovereign of honor, with partiality. We must not be partial to people according to things that really do not matter according to scriptures. And the reason why I say that is because the Almighty, of course, will love, as he said, he loves Jacob and hates Esau, Edom, the brother of Jacob. Pretty much his actions and also the actions of those that came from him. So Yahweh will, according to the works of men, look at men as a special person, righteous person, or a wicked person, but not according to what people think or how people judge, not according to the color of their skin, the amount of money they have, where they live, what they drive, if they look good, etc. So, my brethren, do not hold the faith of our sovereign Yahushua HaMashiach, the sovereign of honor, with partiality. For if there should come into your assembly, a man with gold rings and fine apparel, and there should also come in a poor man with filthy clothes. There are many places where a person with filthy clothes cannot enter just because of, and I'm talking about religions, churches. And you pay attention to the one wearing the fine clothes and say to him, you sit here in a good place, and say to the poor man, you stand there, or sit here at my footstool. Have you not shown partiality among yourselves and become judges with evil thoughts? Listen, my beloved brethren, has Yahweh not chosen the poor of this world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he promised to those who love him. So he says, has Yahweh not chosen the poor of this world to be rich in faith? So this shows how this world is all upside down. That's why they call good evil and evil good. The poor spiritually are rich in faith, while those who are rich in money are poor in faith, and is according to faith, obviously with works, which is what we are about to read also, that the Almighty will act on the life of, or on behalf of somebody. So, my beloved brethren, has Yahweh not chosen the poor of this world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he promised to those who love him? But you have dishonored the poor men. Do not the rich oppress you and drag you into the courts? Because the rich people, which are the ones who end up governing this world, controlling politicians and everything else, and even those politicians, because of their crooked ways, become rich. So at the end, the rich people of the world are the ones who end up having the power to kill the prophets, the righteous, those who are trying to do right, while the government wants to do wrong, so they have to get rid of those who are doing right and want the truth. So why would the Spirit favor those who are wicked just because they have material possessions? It makes obviously no sense. So when a pastor or even the congregation treats a person according to their look, to their bank account, they are judging with evil thoughts. They are judging like this world judges. So, but you have dishonored the poor man. Do not the rich oppress you and drag you into the courts? Do they not blaspheme the noble name by which you are called? The rich people who do not really accept the truth, they just accept whatever they think they must accept in order to be liked by the people. They don't care about the name, of course. They don't care about the Almighty. They don't care about his son. They blaspheme his name. So why would then the congregations honor and exalt a politician just because that politician is offering money to the church, as it happens a lot? And I'm saying an example which is pretty common, and it happened not long ago in the United States. So, do they not blaspheme the noble name by which you are called? We are called Yahudim, which comes from Yahweh. Yahudim means those who praise Yahweh, and we are those who follow Yahushua, the name above every name given to men, so that we may be saved. So, do they not blaspheme the noble name by which you are called? I was, and one of the things also regarding those type of politicians and what just happened in the United States, and it normally happens everywhere for a long time. It has been happening, but this time was so clear, so amazing with Joe Biden, how he claims, in the media claims, that he's, of all the presidents of the United States ever, he is the one that practices his faith the most, being a Catholic. So they claim that he is the most Christian of all. He swore on a Bible which happened to be a Masonic Bible. It's not that hard to search for it, since it is very specific, the Bible he used. So you can search for it on Google and you'll see that it's a Masonic Bible, and it has the pyramid and the eye on the cover. So that is obvious that he's not working for the Almighty. He's using the scriptures to fool the people who believe in the scriptures. And even though the media, and sadly most people believe the media, even though they say he's the most Christian of all the the presidents, right when he got the power, on the same day he signed a bunch of executive orders that go against what the scripture says. So it is amazing to one day swear on the Bible, which still is wrong because scripture tells us that we shouldn't swear. So swearing on the Bible is crazy. Um, and right on the next day, hours later actually, to make a bunch of laws to go against the laws of the Father. So that is um, the leaven of the Pharisees. So if you really fulfill the royal law, going back to the book of James, verse 8, if you really fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, look how, just want to make sure you notice, it began saying, my brethren, do not hold the faith of our sovereign, meaning King, Yahushua HaMashiach, the sovereign of honor. The Melech Kabod would be in Hebrew, really, king of esteem, honor, splendor. That is a title that is connected to what Mashiach will become after the second manifestation of the Almighty on this earth. For the first coming of Yahweh on this earth, as the first was as the high priest. That's why he came as the lamb, as the temple, etc. The second coming is as king. So after the last dies, when he resurrects, first and last become one, as prophesied in Zechariah 14:9 and Ezekiel 37. And then this will be fulfilled in every sense of the word. And I mean that because when Yahushua came, they gave several titles to him, which through his teaching he rejected for the moment. And I mean because he was fulfilling first the coming of the high priest to be sacrificed for sins. Now he has to appear as king to bring vengeance, the vengeance of the Father, Almighty Creator. So each manifestation represents the priest and the king, and here is talking about the Messiah as king, and the one speaking about it or writing it is James, whose name was Yaakov, really. And like I said, just like Yitzhak, the patriarch, represents Yahushua HaMashiach the first. Abraham is the father of faith and represents the Father, Yahweh. Yitzhak represents Yahushua HaMashiach. That's why Yahweh told Abraham to sacrifice his only son, his only begotten son, representing the only begotten son of Yahweh, Yahushua. But then comes Yaakov, who represents the second coming. First and last, Yitzhak and Yaakov. Now, this Yaakov obviously is not the patriarch, but is the same name. And this is an apostle who has the same name as the patriarch, and therefore represents the same thing that name of the patriarch represents, which is the second coming. So the point is that being Yaakov, who is writing about Messiah to the congregation, uses terms that have to do with royalty, with what must manifest when the kingdom of the Almighty will finally be established in this earth forever. So that's why first it says the Melech Kabod, or the king of honor. Then it says, do they not blaspheme the noble? Noble connected also with royalty, nobility. And then it says, if you really fulfill the royal law, because as we also read in Matthew 24, the two witnesses must appear on this world to preach the good news of the kingdom, which are related to the fact that Yahushua, as written in the book of Revelation, is the one who makes us kings and priests through the last and first manifestation, respectively, since the last is as king and the first is as priest. So if you really fulfill the royal law, being that the law of the kings, if you really, the real kings of course, if you really fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, which is, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So obviously this is how they call this law, the royal law. And it is pretty much a law that is universal in the sense that pretty much all religions accept it because they must, is what makes sense the most, and obviously comes from the Torah, from the Almighty Creator. But all religions, most religions, take it in one way or another because it is pretty much the basis of good human relationships. So if you really fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you do well. And he's saying this, of course, because of the fact that there are those who love one more than the other because this one has money and the other one doesn't, or many other reasons for which people divide nowadays the society. So if you really fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you do well. But if you show partiality, you commit sin and are convicted by the law as transgressors.